A few people have asked me in the past on how my paragliding line measurement process goes, so I thought I'd go over that today. I've already showed you my new aluminum rail check components, my laser carriage, aluminum profile track, the linear bearings it rides on. See the laser down there on the riser carriage and its track. But let's go over how I go ahead and do the whole process. Some people brag about how fast they can measure a glider, but I don't brag about that at all. I take my time. All it takes is one minute error to mess up the whole result process. So I first start off with inputting the factory total line measurements into the computer. So for the A row, split A's if they are, the B row, C, and then the brakes. And once I put that information in, then I go down and put in the general information on the glider, the manufacturer name, how many hours, and my tolerances, and my zero offsets. And then I go ahead and put in the factory measurements for the risers. And then I actually measure each and every riser on the right side and the left side. So I'll measure the A's, split A's, the B's, C's, and so forth, and input that information, because it's the only way you can know exactly what your total line measurements are in comparison to the factories, because you measure them with the risers on, but you have to subtract that measurement in order to compare them with the factory's total line measurements. So with that in mind, let me go over and show you how I measure the risers at the other end. Okay, I have one, I got the right side risers in the carriage right now, and then I have my certified ruler here in millimeters. And then back here, take a look, I have a 5 kilogram weight in the sack here. I measured that through post office scale to make sure that's perfectly accurate at 5 kilograms. I have a big rescue type pulley here, so the radius is broad. I have the angle over maybe about 140 degrees. Typically people will tie it back to this part here and have a 90-degree bend, but that puts 1.5 times the weight stresses onto the pulleys. So this here will have the exact amount of weight stressing the pulleys and the anchors instead of doubling or making it 1.5 times the amount if you attach down here. So that's why I attached it up here. So as you can see, when this riser carriage moves, the weight is already suspended, and all I have to do is move it like a quarter to half inch off the bumper here, and take a measurement. So take a measure it, let go, put a new line tab in, pull it up, take another measurement, and that's it. So it's just that short amount of movement is all necessary. And so I do the same thing when I measure the risers. I have to put them under the same amount of tension. And so I'll take a riser and I'll actually slide the lines to the side so I can take the measure to the inside of the mullion there, and I'll line it up onto the ruler, which is fixed and attached at the appropriate mark on the back side of this bolt, which is on the inside of the riser here and the inside of the mullion loop there. And so I'll pull the tension, pull the riser carriage off the bumper. I got 5 kilograms of weight on it, and then I lined it up here, and I got let's see, 519 millimeters for the A riser. As you can see, the split A is a totally different length. The B is even another length, and the C as well. So each one of these risers is a different length. And then according to factory measurements for these, I don't use that figure at all. You got to use the actual measurements of your glider for each and every side. So that's why I measure each and every one on the right side as well as the left side and put those figures in the computer so that the measurement from this point to the canopy is going to compare appropriately to the factory line measurements. And so that's how we measure the risers. Now I got to remember to put these right back to where they should go, so when we do our tension for measuring, it's going to be proper. Get these all like yay. And so now that I got all the figures in the riser measurements in the computer, so let's let me go to another spreadsheet that has it all inputted. There we go. So there's one with all the measurements inputted. And then just to give you an example how a measurement goes, this laser measure has a Bluetooth connectivity to this, so let me just kind of put it in the cell here and show you how it does that. So I'll put a line tab right in the bottom of the groove here. And as you can see here, I'm measuring to where this line loop knot is. Factory measurements are to the canopy right there. So I have to account for that differential there. And it's 10 millimeters on this specific glider, and canopy tabs are different lengths on different gliders. And then you can put that information into the offset settings onto the laser measure to add that amount to each and every measurement. So again, we're comparing appropriately from the canopy to the mullion, inside of the mullion. And so we get that in that point. I put the laser onto the target. I pull this back, the weight's off the bumper, take a measurement, there she be, hit the button here, Bluetooth it, transmits right to there, it's already there. Release the tension, go to the next line, it's going to slot, target, pull back, push the button, it's the next measurement, hit the button, that measurement's in there. And just, so that's A1, A2, A3, take a line it, pull it back, take a measurement, release, bingo, and so on and so forth. And I mean, you can do this whole glider in 20 minutes, but one mistake, you can throw things off. So I take my time. I'll take an hour to measure a glider that I could do in half the time, just to make sure that I got everything right. I'm not missing a row or line segment, so on and so forth. I can't tell you the times I had to start over because I was in haste. And so now I learn, just take your time. And so once I get all the information in, then I switch screens here to this trim level sheet, and then it gives me, let's see here, it gives me all this color coding. Now this is my end that the client doesn't see, but this tells me how far I'm off by the color coding and how to make the appropriate adjustments.